Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Ben No, and joining me is Sen Duong. So, Sen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here physically and mentally. No.
All right, all right. Hopefully, we don't have any technical difficulties. Remember, in the earlier days, we were rife with technical difficulties.
Yeah,
And we're kind of experiencing one right now with the static on the line. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, that we could smooth things over during the final edit.
right. All right, let's move it along before something breaks.
Right, right. I mean, there is this huge storm in California right now, right?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's giving us difficulties. Maybe.
Right, right. Okay, so we could be offline. We could be without power. Some place could be flooded somewhere. And all right, but anyway, we're here to talk about movies, specifically
Yes.
the weekend box office.
Right.
We have a couple new releases last weekend, pretty much two. The fifth Underworld movie, Underworld Blood Wars. Kate Beckinsale returned to reprise her role as the super vampire who has to battle her own kind and werewolves and humans. And then there is the expansion of the movie Hidden Fences. Excuse me, Hidden Figures.
Right.
As well. Okay, all right.
Yes.
That joke kind of fell flat there, right?
Yeah, I heard someone mention that on the Golden Globes that
Right, right. I was going for that, but judging by your response, it didn't go over so well.
all right.
Okay.
Anyway.
Technical difficulties. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, right? We expected one of these movies to do well, right? And it kind of did.
Yeah.
So let's start off with the number one movie. How about you bring us in?
All right, for the fourth week in a row, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story is number one again with about 22 million over the weekend, a drop off of 56% after last weekend, which is expected. Kind of after the New Year's weekend, that films will drop off precipitously. But Rogue One has been doing really well. It has grossed 477 million so far. And, it's the second highest grossing movie of 2016, and it looks like it will be the highest grossing movie of 2016 in another week or so. Finding Dory is number one at 480 something million. The international figure is at 914 million, so it's closing in on a billion. And it's just, it's just one of these spin-off side stories. Not the main Star Wars story with Han Solo and Luke and Leia. Well, this one, Leia has a cameo, but...
Right. Still.
Yeah.
It is without, pretty much it's not about Jedis, it is about regular freedom fighters, right?
Yeah.
Regular people who knows Kung Fu and other stuff that that goes against the Empire.
Yeah.
Like we said, it bodes well for the future movies in the Star Wars universe because they don't need to talk about the aforementioned Star Wars, things with the Force. They could make completely new stories and it'll do well. Not just do well, but doing great that could rival, some of the mainline Star Wars movies.
Yeah, although not yet. But the awesome thing is, Disney, so far the Star Wars franchises, my goodness, is bigger than Marvel. It's bigger than Pixar. It's bigger than Disney Animation.
Yeah, at least for now.
Yeah, for now. We'll see how the Han Solo movie does.
Right. I mean, we're only, 2 movies into the new regime?
Yeah.
Right? It looks very promising, and it's not just like about... It's not like Warner Brothers with DC movies, right? People are begrudgingly saying, the story kind of sucks, but, the characters or whatever. But this is like, they're getting excited about these new Star Wars movies and spin-offs, right?
Yeah, and they don't have to be, like you said, apologetic about it. They're like, hey, this is a good movie. Like the DC movies, they're like, it's Batman versus Superman. I gotta go see it.
Right. Other than that, everything sucked. Kind of like that.
Or Suicide Squad. Same deal.
Exactly. It's just like it's well revealed. People like that, and Disney, right? They're great at keeping their franchises alive.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Whether they kind of shelf it for a couple years and then bring it back or what have you, and they put pretty much the best people on the job and taking chances with promising directors, as with Rogue One, etc.
Yeah. I mean, Disney have a lot of properties they can rely on. We just mentioned the Star Wars, we mentioned Marvel, we mentioned Pixar, we mentioned Disney Animation, and they also have the live action versions of their animated classics. Those are also doing really well.
Yeah, they say they're done with the animation, right? And then to freshen things up, they went with live action. And I mean, at least I kind of laughed at them and said, oh,
Everyone
it's
did.
not going to be as good as the animated feature, right? It proved us wrong.
Yeah, they're not only well reviewed, they're also huge box office hits. So, Disney just, man, they have so many brands they can rely on now. It's just amazing.
Right. Of course, it all fuels into their theme parks.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right. Okay, so we don't know if Rogue One will be number one when the actual figure comes in. It's a tight race
Yeah,
between it and the number two movie.
yeah, one of the movies that expanded, and one of those movies that last week we said, it could do really well on the upper end of expectations, and we wouldn't be surprised, and that's Hidden Figures.
Right. Hidden Fences if you watch the Golden Globes.
Yeah. So Hidden Figures, 21.8 million over the weekend. It went wide. Per screen average is nearly 9,000. That's almost double the per screen average of Rogue One. It's very well reviewed, like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, or somewhere around there. It's made for 25 million. And what were our predictions?
Oh, you
Actually, before
said
we get to
that.
that, there's only about 100,000 separating Rogue One and Hidden Figures. And the interesting thing is the Sunday estimates, Rogue One estimated like 1 million higher than either Hidden Figures and the same. Rogue One is actually estimating a lot higher for the Sunday figure. And by tomorrow, I mean by later today, we might find that Hidden Figures may actually be the number one movie of the weekend.
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's that there's not much separation between the number one and number two movies.
Yeah,
So when the actual number comes in, like you said, I mean, Hidden Figures might
yeah,
be
might.
the number one movie.
Very likely because Rogue One estimated so much more than Hidden Figures and Sing, like 1 million more.
Right, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rogue One kept its place as the top movie because it is a Star Wars movie, right? And it's a movie that people still want to watch.
Right. But the Sunday estimates are usually more conservative. But Rogue One went, Hidden Figures and Sing went conservative as usually Sunday figures are. But Rogue One went a bit high. Yeah.
Okay, but we'll see how it'll turn out, right?
Yeah.
But still, conservatively, I mean, this is the ranking. But there's a possible upset coming along when the real number comes in.
Yeah. Regardless, Hidden Figures. What I was saying like 13 million, right? And I said I wouldn't be surprised if it did 25 million.
Yeah, you say 13 million, but you said since it hit on so many
Demographics, because there's
demographic,
the African American crowd, which is very dependable, which is what I figure as 13 million. And then I said, hey, but then there's also all these other actors, and it could go more mainstream and hit the other demographics. And looks like it.
Right. And you know what I said?
But
I said 20 million.
yeah, you were right on the mark. Yeah.
I was smart enough to take your advice. I was initially going to say
Yeah.
15 million, but you say that's kind of a cop out. Just
Yeah, only 2 million
higher than
more than
yours.
me. Yeah.
And I was smart enough to say, hey, let's go for it, 20 million. And
Yeah.
right there, I was right.
Right. Yeah, so Hidden Figures a well-reviewed film, and it's doing well at the box office. And by its per screen average, and the reviews and the reaction, it looks like it might be one of those films that will have legs.
Yeah, I mean, since it's well reviewed, it's getting a bump on social media because of the mix up between
Yeah.
it and the Denzel Washington directed movie Fences.
Yeah,
So people gonna have some awareness of this movie,
yeah, this one and Fences.
right?
People are gonna go and go. I want to see Hidden Fences, and they're like, okay, do you want to watch Hidden Figures or Fences? You have to choose, or both.
Right. So, and since Hidden Figures has two words in it, they might say, hey, even though they might want to watch Fences, they might want to watch Hidden Figures instead because, that's what is ingrained in their mind, Hidden Fences. So, okay, yeah, I know the hidden word in there. So, this is going to bump up the awareness of Hidden Figures even more.
All right.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let's move on to number 3. Sing. It did 19.6 million over the weekend. After 3 weeks of release, it has already grossed 213 million domestically at a budget of just 75 million. The worldwide figure is at 357 million. So doing solid.
Not just solid, doing great, really great. Budget 75 million, over 300 million worldwide and still going.
Still doing
that's a very good, good and sustainable model.
Yeah, that's true. We were saying that this might not do, the Despicable Me business or the Minions business, but it looks like it is going to do Despicable Me business. Like the first Despicable Me did like 260 million or somewhere around there, and this one looks like it could get there.
Yeah, and it's in its third weekend already, and it's still doing nearly 20 million, which is, awesome.
Yeah, and in the following weeks, it's going to be a bit more steady. Like I said earlier with World 1, there's a huge drop off from New Year's weekend and the following week.
Oh, right. And there are a couple of people sitting out from the movies because the rush, the crowd, there's still going to be people trickling in to watch these movies to catch up.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on to number 4. The other, I guess the main new release, there's no platform release for this one. Underworld Blood Wars is really Underworld 5. Stars Kate Beckinsale as a vampire warrior. It grossed 13.1 million over the weekend at a budget of surprisingly just 35 million. The previous Underworld films were made for 50 to 70 million, mainly because of their box office draw overseas. So I'm surprised that, the budget for this is relatively low. But this is the lowest opening in the franchise, 13.1 million.
Yes, and we said it before, right? This is already the 5th movie. I mean, by the 6th one, right? They'll hit up in space.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we were both kind of high on our projections. We both said 20 million just based on the previous openings.
Yeah.
Previous movies. And 13 million is kind of pretty telling. I guess like we kind of suggest, the numbers suggest it's kind of run its course, this franchise.
Yeah, it could be. The thing is that the previous film did really well. I mean, for the franchise, it made 160 million worldwide, which is the highest the franchise has ever made. The second highest was like 100 million or something like that. And of course, because of that is why we're seeing a Underworld 5. But the worldwide figure is promising, though. It's 55 million already. And at a budget of just 35 million, it's going to be very profitable. It looks like it'll eventually hit 100 million. So despite not doing particularly well...
Wait, 100 million worldwide or 100...
Worldwide.
Okay.
If it does that, despite not doing so well domestically, we might see an Underworld 6.
I'm sure we will, because this is one of the Screen Gems main franchises. I guess they're doing a TV show, right? Based on the Underworld universe.
Oh, are they? I don't know.
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't keep track, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is one going on or one in the pipeline. Right. And once Kate Beckinsale is done playing her character, they could either reboot the series or, hey, come on, start off with someone else.
Yeah, or go direct to streaming.
Or they could continue to build upon this, right? I guess people aren't afraid of just introducing new character and having that character take the baton from Kate Beckinsale and run with it.
Yeah, the only thing is the lowest grossing of the franchise is the one where Kate Beckinsale took a break. Well, now this is the lowest grossing.
Yes, until this one, which suggests that Kate Beckinsale should take a break from the Underworld movies. But like you said, overseas is still going strong. It's making the bulk. I think over 70% of the worldwide box office take right now is from overseas market. Hey, this franchise is still viable overseas, and they're going to continue to make this movie as long, just for the overseas audience.
Right. We'll have to keep an eye on how big it is overseas, because domestically it's kind of disappointing.
Yes. But again, like we said, it's not just about the domestic market anymore. Even though it bombed here, as long as it did well overseas, it's still viable going forward.
Yeah.
Warcraft movie, we're going to see a sequel, right?
I don't know.
I think they're going to make one just because.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. I think they're going to be pushing for one since it's so huge in China. Mm-hmm. And, they're probably just going to make it for
just
the
for
Chinese
China.
market. Yeah, because it's so huge.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 5. On our list, La La Land.
Yeah, La La Land. And the best comedy of 2016, Best Comedy or Musical, according to the Golden Globes.
Yeah, at least got half of that right. It is a musical.
It is. But the way they're celebrating it, it seems like that's the main movie that won, right? Normally the Golden Globes, the movie that's in the musical comedy is kind of the lesser movie. But the number of awards this movie won and how they celebrate it makes it seem like, hey, this is the main movie. This is the main attraction of the award show.
Yeah, this is a movie to beat. And over the weekend they did another 10 million, which is more than what it did last weekend. It expanded to, another 700 something theaters. And the total take is at 52 million already. And having just won the Golden Globes, I'm sure next weekend is going to do even better. Especially when the Oscar nominations comes out this Friday, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I think it comes out this Friday. And if it does, and La La Land gets some nominations, I'm sure that will give it an even bigger boost for the coming weekend.
Oh yeah, but La La Land has already been gaining steam all this while, doing the festivals, getting all this press, accumulating, with the Golden Globes win, and then it's gonna build from there. The case for La La Land being the best picture at the Oscar has been building for quite a while.
Yeah, and it has to get something on the nominations. If it doesn't get nominated, it's going to be a huge blow with all this steam built up. Because, the Oscars, no matter what, the Oscars is the ultimate award. And all this is building to the Oscars. And if it doesn't get any nominations, it's kind of disappointing. So
it is, but I don't see it not getting any nomination because recently the Golden Globes and the Oscars has been getting
closer,
parity with the nominations.
Right.
So I don't expect this getting any less.
With the Golden Globes win and the impending nominations this weekend, it might make even more this weekend.
And unlike other Best Picture noms, right? La La Land is a musical, a comedy, and it is a feel-good movie. I think it appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's not like Traffic, for example, or Crash, or Brokeback Mountain, right? La La Land is kind of like has something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. So 51 million or 52 million domestic right now. The worldwide is at 85 million, but just 30 million.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to number 6, Passengers. It grossed 8.8 million over the weekend, and after 3 weeks of release, it has already grossed 81 million at a budget of 110 million. When it first opened, it looked like a bomb because of its 110 million budget, but it looks like it's gonna make it to 100 million, which is pretty close to its budget.
Yeah, I was surprised, when I look at the domestic gross and say, whoa, 80 millions already? And, I thought it probably in its run in the 80s.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's going to probably cross, gonna cross 100 million, or maybe even go over the 110 million budget.
Yeah, it could. I don't think it will go over 110, but it could get over 100 million, which is, a lot better than what people were expecting when it first opened. And the worldwide figure is at 185 million, which is pretty good, even at 110 million.
Yeah, it's not like a huge hit, but it's modest.
Yeah, modest, and it looks like it will eventually break even theatrically, and they'll make money on home video.
Right, like we said, Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, they're both the main attraction here, and it seems like they're pulling their weight, sort of.
Yeah, yep.
So, there it goes. We thought it would bomb here, not reach 100 million, but it looks like it's on track to do so.
Yeah.
And another surprising movie, right, is number 7.
Yeah, Why Him? The James Franco comedy, which did 6.5 million over the weekend, and is one of the films that is holding up the best. With the exception of films that are expanding like La La Land and Hidden Figures, the drop-off is only 35%, which is very good compared to the other films on the top 10. Most of them are dropping off by 50% plus.
And I think this movie kind of benefited from low expectations because Why Him came to us out of nowhere, really. I mean, it's like, whoa, James Franco had a movie out and it's a comedy.
Yeah, and it co-stars Bryan Cranston, who's pretty serious actor doing a comedy. So
right, and we expect this movie to kind of drop off, but it kind of held on.
Yeah, it's closing in at 50 million. It's at 5.6 million. And it looks like it's still going and holding up well. The budget is only 38 million, so unexpected hit that, like you said, just kind of came and everyone's like, wait a minute, what's this movie doing here? This is actually out?
Exactly. Seems like there's not a lot of promotion or awareness for this movie. Fox snuck this movie in on Christmas.
Yeah.
People went to see Rogue One and say, okay, sold out. No way. Okay, James Franco has a comedy. Let's watch that instead.
Yeah.
And this is holding its own.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to number 8 on our list. Moana did 6.4 million over the weekend. The domestic total is at 225 million. Overseas total is at 450 million.
Yeah, it's one of these animations by Disney Animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is going on a roll? Is on a roll with all these movies: Zootopia, Frozen, what else? Moana, the latest one.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, they're back on track as the hitmaker.
Yeah, they're no longer just Disney Animation. They're actually kind of on par with Pixar.
Right. And here's the thing. Disney Animation used to be classic fairy tales.
Yeah.
But they suddenly turned over into these newer stories.
Yeah, well, they were experimenting, but now it seems like they're not afraid to go back to their musical roots.
No, it's not just musical. It's like I'm saying they're used to kind of focus on these old stories, old fairy tales.
Right. It's kind of interesting. They have 2 animation houses and both doing extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of odd that a studio owns 2 animation houses.
Well, which is kind of good for them because it's kind of like a friendly rivalry, and they kind of pushes each other to newer heights. And having them in the same house, so to speak, it's kind of win-win for Disney. No matter who wins out, they push themselves, the 2 companies, to be better than the other. And like I say, Disney wins in the end.
Yeah, not sure what to make of this, because while Disney Animation has been very consistent, Pixar has been a bit inconsistent because John Lasseter, I guess, puts more of his energy on Disney Animation now. I'm not sure, but that's what I read. Yeah, I'm kind of curious in the future if they will still keep both of them separate, because it is kind of odd that you have 2 animation houses in the same company.
Well, I don't see them as like, I think they're different just in name only, really, right? Since you're owned by the same company, and it's more like 2 teams.
Yeah, it could be,
they're working on different stuff. And I think the thing with Disney right now is they're experiencing a post Toy Story, post Cars withdrawal, I guess. Even with Finding Nemo, they have these movies, and these movies takes years to plan. Right, and years to make.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're seeing now has been planned long ago, and the new ones that's in the pipeline and coming along, they're figuring that one out, that out, right? And with the new people in charge of Pixar, since I'm sure John Lasseter still gives input, but I think he's installing people that are heading that up, and I think they're kind of getting used to making all these decisions, etc. without him.
Yeah.
We're going to see some years where they're trying to branch out.
So it'll take them years to kind of steady the ship again.
Right. And to find their own groove, right? The people who are heading Pixar right now have to find their own stuff, their own ideas about the story and what to make of it, since John Lasseter is no longer there. And I think
he's still kind of there. In
the long run, it's still... Well, yeah, I know, but I think he wants kind of more of a hands-off approach, kind of stepping in when it's necessary. But I think he wants those people to figure it out themselves. And I think in the long run, it'll be better for Pixar. Don't have to lean on a Toy Story, they have to lean on Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
And all the old franchises.
Right. Although that's what Disney wants them to do.
Right. But then again, we're seeing the fruit of Disney Animation with Moana and the previous other movies that they don't have to lean on these old fairy tales.
Yeah. Well, they don't have much to lean on.
All these different stories. Yeah, exactly. Right.
All right. Let's move on to the next film on our list. At number 9 is Fences. The Denzel Washington starring and directed film. It grossed $4.7 million over the weekend. The total is at 40.7 million and a budget of 24 million. So did pretty well. Oh yeah, saw Denzel Washington and Viola Davis.
Yeah, pretty much. Denzel Washington kind of is at the center of this movie. He directs the movie. He stars in it. And I guess because of him, that's why it's doing so well.
It's based on a play, right?
I'm not
It's
sure.
adapted from a play, right?
Or a book or whatever. About him about dealing with racism in the the 50s or something like that. And him, whatever. So it's one of these indie movies, kind of about the life of a black man.
Yeah, and it did pretty well.
And it did pretty well. 40 million is surprising to me because of the movie. It is a drama, right? I said that dramas don't usually do that well, especially ones that center around African Americans. But because Denzel Washington, hey, 40 million and it's still going.
Yeah.
Before we move on, and of course, it's going to get a bump from the Golden Globes. Hidden Fences.
Right.
Hidden Fences. I mean, it's gonna get some awareness because it's now it's tied to that other movie.
Yeah.
It's gonna get some awareness.
Right.
Right.
All right. Rounding out the top 10 is Assassin's Creed at 3.8 million over the weekend. It did about 50 million total at a budget of 125 million, which is a bomb. But let's see what the worldwide figure is at. The worldwide figure is at.
The drum roll. Dun.
Okay, 148 million. Still not that good. Still losing a lot of money.
Is that good or bad?
That's bad.
All right, so it's bad.
Still bad. Still bad.
We said previously that unlike Warcraft, right? Assassin's Creed is a single-player game, and it doesn't, I guess, have the following. With the caveat that Warcraft is big overseas, right? Especially in China. I mean, still did well in other territories. It just bombed in the U.S. But Assassin's Creed doesn't seem to be, to have the same stuff or same attraction as Warcraft. But it still did better than what I expected to do.
Yeah, although at 125 million, it's losing money, a lot of money.
So we won't be seeing an Assassin's Creed 2 because we said that any sequels will depend on the overseas take.
Yeah, unless it does 200 million in China, then we'll probably might see a sequel. I don't think it opened in China yet.
So there's still a chance, even though we say that now, that there won't be a sequel. Who knows? Yeah. We'll keep an eye out when the China figures comes in. All right, that's it for the top 10. Let's head on to the new releases. It's going to be a very crowded weekend. We have a lot of movies that are expanding, and in addition to the new releases, right? We have the horror movie, The Bye Bye Man, Monster Trucks, Sleepless, and the Ben Affleck movie Live by Night, which is expanding, the Mark Wahlberg movie Patriots Day, and kind of wide-ish, 750 theaters. It's Martin Scorsese's Silence.
Which ones do you want to start off with?
All right, let's start off with I guess the bigger movie, right? The biggest one of them all. It's probably what do you think? Patriots Day?
Sure. It's another Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg collaboration. Well, they did two films together. What was the first one that was a hit?
Wait, they only did two? Lone Survivors, right?
Yeah, Lone Survivor was a huge hit. But then what's the one after that?
Deepwater Horizon?
Yeah, Deepwater Horizon didn't do so well, but was well reviewed. The films together have been well reviewed.
Right, they're good films, except that one is a box office success and the other one not so.
Yeah, because of that, we're not sure which way this one will go. It is well reviewed like the previous two, but will it be Deepwater Horizons or Lone Survivor? Because it has a little bit of both. One is based on a true event, kind of like Deepwater Horizons, but it also has that Lone Survivor,
Wait, isn't Lone Survivor also based on true events as well?
Yeah, that's true too. Okay, they're all based on true events. So I think this one might have a bigger appeal than Deepwater Horizon.
You think so?
It's hard to say, right? I think it does because Deepwater Horizons, when you tell people, hey, let's go watch that movie about the oil rig accident, it's like kind of boring. But Patriots Day is about the Boston Marathon bombing. Still not the most appealing movie to watch, but a little bit more appealing than Deepwater Horizons, I think.
True. But you know what? Patriots Day kind of reminds me. I feel that it's if between the two movies, right, Lone Survivor and Deepwater Horizon, it kind of leaned toward the Deepwater Horizon end.
Yeah, it does.
But I think the big caveat here is that it also bears a lot of similarity to Sully, that Tom Hanks movie about the plane landing in the Hudson River.
Yeah.
You know, we thought that it's been covered so much already, right? We thought that movie might not do well, but it did.
Yeah.
Right? And Patriots Day, like you said, I guess appeals to more people because it's more relatable to, you know, people working on an oil rig out in the ocean somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What kind of number are you putting on this?
Okay, let's kind of dig more into this, right? I opened limited on December 21st. It had a per theater average of 13K, and then the following weekend it had a per theater of 55K, and just this past weekend it had a per theater average of 40K, all in about 7 theaters.
So doing
like
pretty
good.
well.
Doing pretty well. So usually that means good thing happens when they have a per theater average that high and for so long.
Yeah, especially for a more mainstream release.
So box office performance-wise, I think I might be leaning this toward more Lone Survivor than Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah, because it's a January release, which is, you know, generally kind of a slow season. I'm giving it a slight bump from Deepwater Horizons. I'll give it 25 million, but not Lone Survivor. Lone Survivor opened to what, about 40 million?
I think 37.
37, yeah, so pretty close. So I'm putting this at 25.
It sounds like a good number, good solid number. How about I one up it?
All right, go ahead.
All right, as you know, since I'm kind of still high on my Hidden Figures projection, let's bet big again.
All right.
Let's throw more chips in. Let's go with 35.
Oh, you think it's going to be that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Okay.
Because I think this is the more appealing movie of the new releases, and it looks like the movies that are in theaters are kind of losing steam.
Yeah,
you know, we're seeing Rogue One falling. We're seeing Sing falling.
Yeah, it's just that it's January. It's kind of slow. So of course there are always films.
Yes, there's always exceptions.
And there are already 3 movies that opened to nearly 20 million over the weekend. I mean that did around the 20 million mark. So yeah, I'm thinking 25. You're thinking 35. I'm not with you on this one, so...
Yeah, I'm gonna go big since I still have some cachet due to Hidden Figures.
From
Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
I won big on that one, so I'm still feeling good about myself. So
okay. All right.
Bet on Patriots Day.
You're just playing your winning chips, your extra chips.
Exactly.
All right.
All right. How about we move on to that Ben Affleck movie, the gangster movie, Live by Night.
Oh, that's opening wide. Okay.
That's opening wide.
The reviews hasn't been that great, right?
It's not that great, and the box office performance isn't that good either.
33% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of in the same territory as the Accountant. But the Accountant did really well. How did this do when it opened limited? Not too well either, right?
Not too well. Look. It kind of opened during the Christmas weekend, right? It did 8,000 per theater. Only in 4 locations, right? And then around New Year's, it did 9,000 per theater, same amount of theaters. And then this past weekend, it did 7,000.
Those aren't great figures for that few theaters, but because it's one of these intended mainstream movies, that's actually okay. What do you think? Do you think Ben Affleck has another hit in his hands?
No. Wait, let me see what is the budget for the movie. It's not available. But I assume that it's going to be in the so it's a period piece.
Probably at least in the 50s.
Going to be in the maybe
50s.
50 to 70 million range, I think.
Yeah.
So still, I don't think it's going to be like The Accountant. This is again, period pieces right now is not working. Judging by the movies this past year, like
Ben-Hur.
What was the other one? Ben-Hur. There's also this one by Warren Beatty.
Oh, by the one that just
that recent one that was kind of forgettable, and people didn't turn out for it. And then there's even with the Coen brothers, right? The one with
Hail Caesar or something like that.
Yeah, Hail Caesar. Even that didn't really work. So and I don't.
Well,
think
but that's the Coen brothers.
This one, huh?
That's the Coen brothers. Sometimes they'll make a huge 100 million grossing movie, and other times they're kind of like indie figures.
Oh, come on, we don't want any facts on this podcast, right? Gotta go with the narrative that, you know,
Right.
period pieces are not working, right?
All right.
But anyway, right? Ben Affleck, in his interview, right, he said that, you know, he could make any movie that he wanted, and he
Yeah.
chose to do this. So this is kind of more like
A pet
him wanting
project.
to do this movie rather than, than, you know, the studio wanted him to do this movie.
Right.
So I don't think this movie is going to do that well. I think 15 to 20 million.
Whoa, I think that's pretty good.
You think
If it
so?
does 15, yeah, I think that's pretty good if it does 15 to 20 million.
Yeah, it's more like the lower end of the 15 to 20 million though.
I'm thinking 10 million.
10 million, that's really bad. All right, but I could see it too. I think because Ben Affleck is in this one, I think it's going to add a couple more million here and there.
Yeah, I mean, The Accountant is surprisingly better than I thought.
But because of him, he was able to make it into a hit.
Yeah, all right, I'm going low.
Right, but could he do it twice with Live by Night? And the reviews are not good.
Yeah.
So...
But yeah, neither were those for The Accountant. So
Right, that's true. But that one, it is an action movie, right? But this
Yeah.
one has a lot of, is more of a gangster movie.
yeah,
So-
but there is a lot of action though. Even in the trailer, lots of gunfights, lots of
yeah, kind of.
cars
But then again, it's
flying
gonna
into the air. You know.
Yeah, but it's gonna remind people of better movies.
All right.
Goodfellas, Scarface, etc., etc. All right, let's move on to what do you think? You want to go with Bye Bye Man or Monster Trucks or
All
Sleepless?
right, let's go with Bye Bye Man.
Okay, let's go to the Bye Bye Man. It's a horror movie. The biggest recognizable name in the Bye Bye Man is Carrie Ann Moss and Faye Dunaway, right? Carrie Ann Moss did the Matrix movies,
Yeah.
and pretty much that's all she did, kind of.
She also did Memento.
Yeah, she did Memento, right?
It's a pretty generic, silly horror movie. I'm going low on this. I mean, I'm going very low on this. This has the feel of the last couple generic horror movies. Maybe 4 or 5 million.
I'm gonna be with you as well. I mean, I think 5 and below.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's a generic horror movie, and the biggest recognizable name here is Carrie Ann Moss. And unlike the previous generic horror movies, right, there is no eye candy.
This has the same feel as that Naomi Watts horror movie. I forgot what it's
Yeah,
called.
Shut In, right? Shut In.
Yeah, it has that kind of feel where they got an actress with name recognition, but the plot, the story is just so generic. You know, even the way they directed, the people popping out into the screen, the premise has no originality, nothing to draw you in.
Oh, right. You say that guy's the creature's name a couple times and he appears. Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of stupid too.
it's stupid, but the trailer kind of give it all away, really. I mean, who dies and who doesn't, right?
Yeah, sort of. But anyway, I think we gave this movie way more time than it deserved.
All right, so 5 million or below, both of us in that range. Okay. Bye bye, man, and by next week we will say bye bye, man.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Let's move on to Monster Trucks.
So Monster Trucks, there is literally a monster in a guy's truck.
Yeah, and well, so far the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are pretty bad, 21% with about 19 reviews. I mean, is this actually based on the monster truck toys, or is this just one of these original ideas that some person came up with and decided to make a movie out of?
You know what? I really don't know, and I don't particularly care. It's kind of a silly thing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's based on that toy line.
Yeah, it's kind of not quite sure what to make of it.
I guess Michael Bay has the Transformers locked up, and they want to do something with cars.
Monster trucks, yeah.
And yeah, monster trucks, and it's kind of like an octopus-like monster that's kind of taken residence in this guy's, like a teenager's monster truck.
So kind of like those shell crabs.
Yeah, and it kind of, I guess it follows kind of the usual plot lines. It's not a horror movie. It's more a comedy. It's pretty much boy and his animal.
What do you think the pitch was for this movie?
I don't know.
Hey, let's make a movie called Monster Trucks, except there's actually a monster in the truck.
You know what? But whatever the pitch was, in that room, I bet there are kind of like lines of coke. And, they're just like sniffing it up.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, we don't endorse drug use on this podcast.
Yeah, but sometimes you watch these movies and you're just like, you can only come up with these things under the influence.
Yeah. So I think it's produced by Nickelodeon, right?
Oh, is
At
it?
least Nickelodeon has a part in it. So
A very odd film.
yeah, it has already opened in the United Kingdom already, and it didn't do that well. And I don't think it's gonna do that well here. Let's do 5 to 10 million, and I'm gonna go with the lower end of the 5 10 million.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'll go 5 million. Sure.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, it has this weird "who is this movie for" vibe, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they want it to be for kids, but
But for kids, you don't have a kid driving the monster. You have this teenager, so they're not targeting the teenagers. Will think this is kind of goofy.
yeah, that's
Kids,
true. I think that's probably it, though. They want it to be for kids, but then they're like, well, we can't have a kid driving a truck, so they do it in a teenager who's probably 40 years old.
that's called acting, Sen.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay, finally we're reaching the end. Sleepless. This the Jamie Foxx action thriller. Michelle Monaghan co-stars. Gabriel Union is in it. T.I. is also in it. Dermot Mulroney.
yeah, I think Liam Neeson is he's leaving an opening for his Taken franchise, and Jimmy Fox saw the opening and took it.
Right. So I guess Jamie Foxx plays a undercover cop who is investigating police corruption. His son got taken hostage by the local drug lord, and
He has a specific set of skills.
right, to get his son back. Like you said, it has a lot of similarities, even though the story is kind of different with different people, right?
Mhm.
To the Liam Neeson movies, the Taken
Yeah, but
movies,
Sleepless is kind of a poor title for an action movie.
Well, it's one of these generic ones, so the Sleepless is
Yeah.
a good generic movie as any, right?
Yeah, it's generic, but you don't. When you think action movie, you don't want to have the word sleep in the title.
But it's sleepless. It's not sleep, it's sleepless. So it's kind of like awake.
Yeah, even the less is not good for because in action movies you want more, you don't want less. And in action movies you don't want to sleep, even if it is less sleep.
You're right, but I don't think the title is going to have an effect on this movie's box office.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, Jamie Foxx action movie. What do you think?
I would watch a Jimmy Fox action movie, but this title, I don't know. Anyway, it looks like one of these guilty pleasures. I would watch it if it's on streaming on Netflix, but I'm not sure if I would pay to watch it. So I'm going 8 million.
Yeah, I'm kind of there as well. Even though Jamie Foxx has his fans.
Yeah, he has his
Right?
fans. Yeah.
And even though he's not an A-lister,
Mhm.
even though he's not an A-lister, he still can draw in people depending on the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm about with you there. 10 million.
Yeah, this movie can surprise though, because it does have the African American crowd, and they're always reliable. Jimmy Fox is is one of these multifaceted talents who can do a lot of things and do a lot of things well. This one is more of a generic action movie, and I'll buy into a Jimmy Fox action movie.
No, I mean there's nothing wrong with generic action movies.
Yeah,
People just want to see things blow up.
yeah,
And as we can see from the Liam Neeson movies, the Jason Statham movies, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
yeah.
People want their fix, and if they can get that with whoever is delivering, then all good. People are not gonna say, "Oh, this is the best movie ever," right?
Mhm. So we'll see if Jimmy Fox's specific set of skills can draw in the same kind of crowd as Liam Neeson.
Right. But Liam Neeson is more badass than Jimmy
Yeah,
Foxx.
Liam Neeson has that voice. Yeah, he does have that voice.
You don't want to mess with him, right? With Jimmy
Yeah.
Foxx,
I wouldn't mess with Jimmy
Pushover.
Fox either. I wouldn't mess with Jimmy Fox either.
Right. But Liam Neeson has the FBI and the CIA on his
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
right?
Jimmy Fox might, he might be like, just kidding you. So never know.
Right. Okay, so crowded weekend. At least I feel that the biggest movie is going to be the Mark Wahlberg movie
Patriots Day.
with Peter Berg, Patriots Day, right?
Mhm.
And the rest are kind of iffy to me.
Yeah, although Sleepless could surprise, I think, and I'm curious to see how Monster Trucks does.
I would be really surprised if it did well, since, like I said, it doesn't. I don't know who this movie is for. They're trying to shoot
Yeah.
young, but it stars teenagers.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
All right. We'll see this weekend.
All right. Thanks for listening.
See you guys next weekend.